As Nancy and Marilyn said, we passed this on 3 different occasions. That's 2 weeks in between each passage. And it was published, I think it's at the library, and it's also on the website, our agenda. Also, every penny of the tax, or the $5 fee that we get will go to streets and streets only. It cannot be used for anything else. So all my friends who complain to me about potholes, we can now have more money to fill those holes. So that is why I voted for those levies, or for those legislation.
I think to me it's really a no-brainer because, as we already said, costs are going up, and we have to somehow, try to balance our budget. And I know nobody likes to have increased taxes, pay more, but $5 for a license plate is not all that much. Like we said, what you pay, you're going to get back a lot more in return. I have all sorts of people complaining about Cleveland Road. It has to be repaved. We were able to get a few roads paved this year, but I think we just have done that, like we said, with the 3 reading rule, and then we're just in line with all the other communities, really, right now with this $5 tax.
This question will go to Mr. Vicky. Mr. Vicky. Since we are thinking green and wanting to conserve energy and also become more physically fit, what has been done or what plans to be done to build more sidewalks in Huron?
Well, one of the problems that I see with sidewalks, I mean, they're good, but has people don't use them. They use the street. Because I won't run into half. As far as sidewalks, it'd be nice to have them. But you know what's going to happen? We're going to have sidewalks, and the people are going to be assessed that money. And I think if you want sidewalks, if the city wants sidewalks, then the city should pay for sidewalks.
The community has to obviously establish what they consider our amenities, priorities, quality of life things, safety issues that are important to them. And again, if sidewalks are something that the community feels is a necessary part of their transportation, even in a pedestrian mode, making that community pedestrian friendly. If that is a priority of the community, then that should be something that is investigated. The important thing to understand is it's important when we're going through the process of looking at these options which can enhance our community, enhance the quality of life. There are opportunities to look at offsetting the cost of constructing these sidewalks, and thereby getting that priority, meeting that goal of the community.
It seems like every time there's an election, there's a question about sidewalks. Again, we have a limited amount of resources that we can spend with the city. I think one of the things that I would like to see the council do, obviously, is work towards increasing the revenues of the city without burdening the residents with higher taxes. I think we can do that through new businesses and new companies out in the business park. And if we can get ConAgra finished up, I think that's going to be a viable financial resource for the city. Ultimately, we have an incredible stadium that people can go and walk at. I don't know if everyone's been there, but Kalahari spent a lot of money there. We've got great parks, and there are some trails that run between the subdivisions and all around Huron. So I think there's ample resources for getting out and going green and being fit.
I think sidewalks, for safety reasons, are great, but realistically, the amount of money that it would cost to try and put sidewalks all the way around the city, I don't know if that would be feasible. They'd have to raise taxes too much, I think, to cover that. We can look for grant money and things like that, but like Trey said, if we're looking for green ways to get healthier, I think that can start at home, possibly changing diets, using the walking track, things like that. Lake Erie's just north of us, go swimming and things like that. But to try and put sidewalks in the whole city just to be able to walk around, I don't know if that's realistic.
The problem with sidewalks is that nobody wants to pay for it. The city pays for the sidewalks at the intersections. But aside from that, the sidewalk is paid for by the property owner. And while it sounds like a nice idea to have a sidewalk, concrete's expensive, and people don't feel able or willing to take on that expense. We have mandated that all new construction will have sidewalks, and it is included in the price of your building project. But before that, it was not always mandated, and consequently, we have lots of spaces that don't have sidewalks. We are working on grants that have applied and continue to apply for grants on the sidewalks to schools program, which would use that trail behind the subdivisions.
Before we move on, Deanna, I believe folks are having trouble hearing. Is there any way we can turn?
Hold the microphone. You can hear the ladies, you can't hear this whole side.
Just hold up side, you can't hear the guy.
Want me to start over?
We want to hear you.
We have a long enough solution.
Okay. Before we look at putting in more sidewalks, we need to look at the rules regarding sidewalks. A good example is in the corporate park, in front of the Denton property. Years ago, it was a rule that in the corporate park covenants that sidewalks must be installed with any building that has occurred. Well, we have sidewalks in that area going to nowhere. So while I agree that sidewalks are very important, I also think that we need to look at the rules regarding how, when, and where we put in the sidewalks. Marilyn was right when she said nobody wants to pay for them. Everybody wants them, they enhance the community, they make it a great place to live, and they look nice. However, up till now, we just have not had the funds to do it without an assessment, and as soon as you say an assessment, nobody wants to pay. Right now, our code for new subdivisions requires developers to put sidewalks in. So in the newer subdivisions, you will see sidewalks. And like Nancy said, there are sidewalks going in the corporate park because it's a requirement. Other than that, unless we put a levy on to see if anybody wants to pay for sidewalks, then we will get the answer from you, the voters,